Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I realize I look like shit, but it's because the month of February has just been a shit show for me. If you want, I can make a video update if anyone cares about that. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about Cosmo. And you know, I just wonder sometimes whether Cosmo is posting knowing that it's garbage or if they're actually convinced that this stuff is worthy of, you know, not being put in the trash or, you know, throwing away your computer. But I digress. Anyways, here we have a brilliant and thoughtful article called 11 Signs You're Emotionally Cheating. It's totally a thing. So first of all, who the fuck doesn't know that emotionally cheating is a thing? Who doesn't know that? I'm pretty sure everyone knows that you can cheat physically and you can cheat emotionally, and for a lot of people, cheating emotionally is worse, and I tend to agree with that idea. Anyways, let's just get into it. So I'm going to link the article because it kind of goes on and on about this, and insultingly enough, it was posted October 25th, my birthday of 2016. I'm gonna go through a couple of these points and then I want to talk about the bigger picture. So here we have point number 1. You feel like you have to instinctively hide text from your partner. Anything you have to hide from your partner, unless it's like a birthday present or a positive surprise, usually red flag, so thank you for that. Here we have another point. You never want to invite your significant other when you're hanging out with that person. Well, first of all, that happens with physical cheating too, right? When you're having sex with someone else that's not your partner, you don't want to have them there. And it's the same thing when it's emotional, because I think it's very clear when you are investing yourself emotionally in someone else. Especially if you're super into that person, obviously you wouldn't want your partner around them because your partner would be like, the fuck? So, very illuminating. Okay, so this is one of the points I find really fucked up. It says, you bring that person up a lot with your partner. Whether it's a funny anecdote or a jab at that person's current fling, your SO hears their name a lot, though they might not even pick up on how often you bring them up. But sometimes you feel yourself wanting to censor yourself because it's 11 a.m. and you already brought up 3 different stories about that person. First of all, if you're doing all this shit and you don't realize that it's an issue, you probably shouldn't be in any kind of exclusive relationship, because these are all things that are kind of obvious. Don't do that when you're in an exclusive monogamous relationship. And the funny thing about this article is it implies that you're not capable, whoever is reading this, and Cosmopolitan, I'm assuming, is a majority of women. So it's assuming that a majority of women will not be able to decipher these very subtle cues that might be telling you that, hey, you're into someone else more than you're into whoever you're with now. So I find it insulting in that kind of way. The thing is, I want to talk about this in a larger scope because as we've talked about Cosmopolitan a few times, I think we can all see the pattern. So the articles are shitty, badly written, and oftentimes the arguments aren't even well made. You know, like, I can disagree with you and think that you made a good argument, but here it's like, I disagree with you and you made a shit argument, you know? Like, it's just all around a no. So they had the incest one, then they had the one where explaining why it's okay to cheat or whatever, and I'll link all of these below so you can watch them if you're interested. And there's this, and there are other ones, of course, because I don't spend my life looking at Cosmo, thank God, or else I would have jumped out of the window. But it seems like Cosmopolitan is pushing for this acceptance of, I don't want to say taboo behaviors, but of immoral. Let's call them immoral, because everyone has their own morality and their moral code, moral compass, whatever the fuck, but kind of immoral or maybe deviant kind of behaviors. And I don't understand whether they're doing it for clickbait only, because it's certainly clickbait has something to do with it, because of course people are going to click on the article about a brother and sister who choose to have sex because it's so what the fuck that you're going to click. But I'm wondering whether this is a kind of driving force of why so many people want to go back to traditionalism in some senses. So I'm not saying cosmopolitan is the only thing that might make someone want to go back to some traditional values. I've been seeing a lot of millennials, especially less liberal millennials, be more inclined to be traditional about a lot of things. And being traditional isn't necessarily a bad thing. There are some shitty things that come with everything being traditional. For example, traditionalism in terms of relationships. I've been seeing a lot of people who just want to have that two-person, monogamous, exclusively dating relationship. And with the world we're in today, that sounds very traditional, doesn't it? At least to me it does. Maybe it's because I've seen some shit, maybe it's because there are a billion different genders and different types of relationships, and Cosmo's out here saying why cheating isn't so bad. And I'm wondering whether this is one of the reasons that a lot of people are enticed by the idea of traditionalism, because so many outlets, whether it's Cosmo or even just social media, are pushing this narrative, oh, you can do that this different way. This thing that you thought was really bad actually isn't super bad. And in a way, I think all of this is counterproductive to what Cosmo wants. Because let's say Cosmo actually wants people to cheat or be in weird alternative relationships. If that's what they want, they're working against themselves, because it seems to me that there's this kind of incessant pushing from all sides, whether it's like TV shows or social media or just generally personalities on social media, shitty articles like Cosmo ones. It feels like there's a push to negate everything that we once accepted, and I do think that for us to progress, we need to accept that some things have to change, some things have been fucked up, some things we were completely wrong about. Yes, I agree with that. But it feels like there's this whole kind of movement of saying everything we did before was fucked up. We have to change everything. Everything that was wrong before is now right. And it's kind of scary, because there are plenty of things that we need to change, but there are plenty of things that were working and are still working, like monogamous relationships where people don't cheat. And I don't know, it just baffles me how all these different sources are trying to be contrarians in a way, to just say like, oh, this is how it's been so far, so we're going to disagree just to disagree, not really because we have a point. And I feel like that's exactly what Cosmopolitan is doing. And this article reminded me of that, because these behaviors are all very obviously not okay if you are in an exclusive monogamous relationship. Yet they're trying to kind of pass it off as if it's normal or as if it's relatable, because these kinds of lists, 11 signs your X or Y, usually are supposed to be relatable, right? They wouldn't post it if no one could relate to it. So that's what I'm also thinking about, is like, how many people do you think actually would read this and be like, oh yeah, I do that, and be okay with it? You know what I'm saying? So even in relating to this list, you're kind of pushing I don't want to say deviant behavior, because that sounds really, really negative, but a kind of behavior that usually we would not accept, or a behavior that we would frown upon. I don't know if I'm making sense. I feel like maybe my graduate classes are getting to me, and I'm just going on and asking all these rhetorical questions that none of us probably have answers to. But it does seem like there is a bigger picture here, and that there is a bigger movement at large that needs to be addressed. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. Let me know if this made sense. If it didn't make sense, you can just be like, bitch, what are you even saying right now? But yeah, I would appreciate opinions. I will link this article down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons for always supporting me, and let's get into the fan art.